Good morning, everyone. How are you? Good to see everyone. What is it? Thursday? Thursday morning. Um, I'm here. I'm hopefully gonna have some more coffee soon. I'm a little bit groggy this morning, but good to see you all coming in, and I hope that this little chat more helpful to you all. And I know it will be for me because I just love chatting with you guys and seeing you in the morning and saying good morning and hello. Oh, people coming in. All right. Hey, we got Michelle. Hi, sweetheart. Good morning. And oh, I'm having trouble clicking today. Evelyn. Hello, sweetie. Good morning, everybody. And from a poet. Good morning, all. Amy Jones. Hello, hello. Amy, I'm gonna email you later or message you or however we talk. I got something to tell you. Michelle R. Hello. Oh my goodness, everybody's here. Hi, Penny. Penny 5A. Oh, there's my girl. Good morning, Liz. Good morning, sweetheart. Great live last night. I was like in the car listening. Really, really, really good. If you didn't catch Liz's live, uh, watch the replay because it's awesome. Oh, yes, must have caffeine, just getting over COVID. Oh my goodness. I'm glad you're getting over it. Pup groomer, hello, hello. Grand Theft Hoopty. Hey, yes, coffee first. I did have some, but I lost my cup. I think I had some going. It might have gotten dumped, but I think Duncan's going to make me some coffee, he said, and he's gonna pop in and contribute some wisdom. He's much wiser than myself. Oh, I've got this StreamYard banner up. Let's see if I can fix it. Oh, uh, I'll do a crochet one today. There we go. Like a diagonal granny square. There. Yeah, I had the generic one yesterday because I was doing some video calls with some people that I'm gonna do a live stream with next week. I'm super excited. I'm just going to tell you, I don't have the event or the thumbnail or anything up yet, but Penny brought my friend Penny that I've done some streams with her in Clearwater Chat about cults. She's also a mod on here. I don't see her this morning, but oh, I'm sorry, Peggy, not Penny. I mess up your names. I'm sorry, Penny. Peggy brought. She's a researcher for That's So Effed Up podcast. I don't think I can swear quite yet, but yeah. So we talked to Lindsay Williams yesterday. She was one of the contributors in the documentary "Shiny Happy People" about the Duggars. And she was part of the IBLP. She was raised in it, and her story. She just did the Little Bit Culty podcast with Sarah Edmondson, Nippy Ames, I think his name is, and that was amazing. And so we chatted yesterday for a really long time, much longer than we had scheduled. But she will be doing a live stream with us next Friday, the 20th, at 1 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to talk about fear in cults, fear mongering, control, and how to recover from it. So I think it's going to be great. She is just so fun and funny, but also very and just I'm just inspired by her. She's just very well spoken and just such a strong person. So I hope you all can tune in for that. If you can't, you can see the replay. That would be awesome. And while I'm looking at Liz's name, I don't have the link right here at this computer. I usually have it on my Chromebook. But if you'd like to go to her channel and help her and contribute to her going to the protest in front of the LA Celebrity Center on the 21st, October 21st, I think it's a Saturday, then you can go and donate to her Venmo or her PayPal. So that would be awesome if you can do that. Thank you. In my house, dumping coffee is a hanging offense. My problem is sometimes it just looks because it gets like a ring because I let it get cold, and Duncan likes hot, fresh coffee, and he just sucks it down, but I'm like I was on the phone this morning with Kelly Copter, and I just was walking around the house with it, and I don't know what happened to it. I think it got dumped because it probably got cold, and it had this ring, and it probably looked, you know, really old, so most likely, that's probably what happened. I'm pretty serious about my creamer choices. Yes. Yes. Yes, feel better, Michelle, definitely. Ooh, that sounds good. Peppermint mocha. Yum. Yeah, so I entitled this "Dealing with Doubt, Making Decisions," and, it's something that's just been on my mind, kinda germinating, and I just, my morning musings, I just chat with you all and see what you think, and, give me, contributions from your own experiences and your thoughts. I love to share that with you. So and have you share it with me. Um, so I was thinking about how I've had a lot of struggles with self-doubt. And of course, you can attribute it to being in a cult and not really being able to make your own decisions. So it's like it was kind of a new thing for me to start making my own decisions, and I was made to feel like my opinion wasn't really valued, never felt really smart, never felt like I had, the ability to really, you know, form a educated opinion, and so it in some ways, I think that letting someone else make a decision or not making a decision can be a decision of its own, right? And sometimes it's a little bit easier to do that. It's just like, I don't know, whatever. But then you can open yourself up to have consequences for not making a decision. So I just want to explore that a little bit of what it means to not doubt yourself and to be able to make a informed decision that you can stand behind. And no matter what happens, you can own it and say, I made that decision for better or for worse. Right. So, one thing that I was kind of just reading little things online, and I'm not going to like do any quotes or anything, which is some thoughts that I came across that I thought was actually very very helpful to me. And sometimes I have a hard time finding the words for things, could be the fiber fog, but it also could just be, I haven't fully, understood, like, how to express how I'm feeling. And so there was one thing that said about, somewhere on the interwebs about making decisions as when in doubt. I like little rhymes, right? You know that. When in doubt, zoom out. Right? So, and that's not something that you can usually do a split second. Some things you have to make a split decision. Other things, you kind of need to let it, germinate a little bit. And when in doubt, zoom out, right? So you just want to look at the whole picture, right? You want to you want to take into consideration um the facts, right? You wanna look at the whole picture, like, I used to feel like every decision I made was, like, the end of the world, right? Like like, I felt like, "Oh my god," like because everything was always hanging in the balance. It's like heaven and hell and demons and we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and mights and dominions and all this, and it's like, you know what? It's not that complicated, right? And, what may seem to be like a life and death struggle or the end of the world is really not the end of the world, so just looking at the whole picture, and sometimes, like, Duncan's gonna come in, and I'm sure he can say it way more eloquently, but there's been times when we will get so worked up about something, and then it's like, "Okay, wait a minute. Everyone's in one piece, everyone's alive." Um, and it's not the end of the world, right? It's, sometimes we worry about stuff. We worry about, things that, will not be a big deal to us tomorrow. So I'm like, well, I think I mostly worry about my children, of course, and my husband and my doggies and my extended family and my good friends. I worry about them. If any of you are close to me, I'm always harassing you and nagging and like, "How you doing?" But, "Oh, I didn't hear from you for a day. How you doing? What's going on?" So, I'm just gonna oh, here we go. Top of the morning phone. Hi, honey. You're gonna come in and chat with us in a few minutes, right? Oh, here we go. Well, well, well. Well, 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 Poe. Okay, so I have both of you. So just for the record, I got both of you right now. Proof of life. And oh, yay, Duncan, is he going to sing for us today? I don't know what kind of mood he's in. We'll see. He sang like 3 times last week, right? Or was it this week? I don't even remember. I'm so bad with all that. Okay, we got rocking it out. Kim D. Hi. Hello, hello. How you doing? Good to see you. Oh, here we go. There we go. Read more about the concept of when in doubt, zoom out. Thank you. There we go. It's a thing. It's a whole thing. I just liked it because because the little rhyme thing, you know. But I was reading a really good article. I don't even know where it comes from. Oh, tinybuddha.com. I've never looked at that site, but there was a lot of good things in there. Um like not trusting yourself, not trusting your own instincts and your own intuition and your life experiences. Sometimes I feel like I don't have enough book smarts, but I have had a lot of experiences, and I say this all the time, but it's true. I tend to surround myself with people that are smarter than me, smart people. I won't say smarter than me, but smart people. And there's this little saying that goes is like, if you go in a room and you're the most intelligent person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And in a way, it's kind of like you're being conceited, which is I totally get that. But also, how are you going to learn anything? How are you going to learn anything? And but when it comes down to it, you can get information and advice and input from people that you trust and people that you have some history with. And that really helps. But, at the end of the day, decisions can be your own, you know? So, there's been things that I've learned, like, I'll give you an example. We're all friends here, right? We're all friends. Okay. So I'll give you an example of something that Duncan and I went through and with our kids. Our kids went through this. When we left the cult, I think I still homeschooled them for about a year, and then we put them in school, in public school mid-year. And my daughter, she already told her story with me that day a couple weeks ago. So not speaking for her, but she said it was really hard to transition into public school, and just knowing like where she came from and everything. She still had a lot of that indoctrination. She was sort of marginalized and kind of bullied. And with one kid at one point, it was a boy, it got physical. And his father, even though he was married to his mother, the rumor was he was kind of super friendly with the principal, who was a young woman. And who knows, not accusing anyone, but um, I because I was really in like mama bear mode, and I wasn't really thinking about the fact that we were literally just coming into the world. We were just breaking into this. I felt like I was dropped from another planet, right? So it didn't have like really good social skills or experiences or knowledge to really know how to approach this. So I guess, I kind of came in a little bit like gangbusters because I didn't want my kid coming home with bruises, which was happening. And and Duncan, guys know him now, so I don't say my husband all the time. He actually was elected onto the school board. And one of the big motivations was, oh, I'm just gonna start a few things. So what if his big motivation was to be able to have a voice in this whole bullying thing, right? So this went on for actually a few years, and we were pretty much in a lot of ways ostracized because I was making some friends in town, but I think because I was just so zealous, I was coming on a little bit strong with them, and I was like telling them about what's going on in the school, and there were a lot of other issues with the principal and everything. And eventually, she got ousted for something else completely. I mean, she was pretty much deemed as like incompetent, but maybe, like, I was right, but how I go went about it was wrong. And I think I put so much pressure on those people that I was trying to, befriend and get, like, to be almost like an ally, that they just it was like they didn't listen to me because they felt pressured, like, they were just like, "I can't deal with this. This is drama." I can't deal with it. Even though they agreed with me in purpose and, they don't of course, they don't like bullying. Nobody likes to have their kid come home with bruises, but they felt like it wasn't their fight, and I was kind of forcing their hand, right? So, there's this thing that I've heard about a whistleblower syndrome, whistleblower thing is, and this happens in cults a lot when you're in a cult and you ask a question or you either like you just don't want to sign off on something, like, or you just point out that there's a problem. You point out a problem, suddenly you become a problem, right? So look at like the Danny Masterson case, right? When the Jane Does came forward, it was just like they just tried to everything they could to discredit them, make them feel like they did something wrong, blame the victim, and all that. And so when one of those situations come up with me, I remember the feeling that I may have put on other people when I was just so passionate, like I need help and this is right and this is and people just kind of turned a deaf ear when normally they probably wouldn't if it was coming from somebody that they trust and that they really knew, or if it was presented in a way that was less emotional, right? And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with emotions. I guess it's just I learned my lesson to what was it called? So when in doubt, zoom out, okay? Look at the whole picture. Look at the facts, right? You don't unless you're driving in a car and something, comes in front of you, and you got to slam on the brakes, you usually don't have to make a decision like that, right? So when these things come up, I usually freeze. And then I want to sometimes I get angry, not at the person that's telling me things, but I'm getting angry at the situation, but I just don't know what to do, because you're weighing your options. You're like, do I want to become anathema? Do I want to become a target? Do I want to say there's something wrong? And how do I go about it? And then I've realized something is that I can't control anyone. I can only control what I do. I can only control, my own self and my own actions. So I think people lead by example much more than they lead with their mouth. So when I make a decision, I try not to put it on anyone else. I just say, "Hey, this is true for me. This is what I decided to do. Whatever you decide to do is fine." And I don't go out and like, "Do do do, I decided to do this." Oh, thank you, honey.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Thank
How you
you.
doing?
And enjoy it.
Okay. All right. I'll see you soon. Doug's coming in a few
Is
minutes.
now an okay
Oh,
time?
now is an okay time. Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, but
I guess,
desperately, desperate need of coffee.
Yes, thank you. Oh, Osa. Osa,
Yeah.
if you're
Luck
listening right
too.
now. Let's see. Okay. Can you bend? I'm sorry, guys. Housekeeping. Can you bend that a little bit?
I will attempt to. I can do it without knocking my coffee over. Which
Yeah.
way do you want to bend
Just
it?
bend it in half a little bit. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. You got
that's
it.
pretty tight,
Okay.
isn't it?
Yep. All right.
Hello,
Move over.
folks.
Move over.
Move on over.
All right. Here we are.
Yeah, the dogs are content for the moment,
Oh,
so
good.
it's a good time to sneak in here. And I got up early, so this is most needed.
Definitely. So we're talking about doubt in making decisions. What do you think?
Sounds doubtful. No, sorry.
I'm gonna just pop up a couple of things because I like to stop. Oh, super chat! Oh my goodness,
Oh, very cool.
Kirsten,
Whoa.
you are such a nice and friendly woman. Love from Denmark. Oh, thank you, Kirsten. Love from Vermont.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So, you have any thought? Oh, Kelly says hi.
Hello, Kelly.
He says hi.
Hey, 5A is here.
Yeah, Penny's
Very
here.
cool. Penny is here. Good to see you, folks.
Candy's life. Hello. Good to see everybody.
Yes, indeed.
Joe DeCepo, I have to work now, but I'm looking forward to catching this on replay. Bye, sweetie. The topic is so me. I did think of you too, because we've talked about this before. Yes, absolutely. Michelle and Reese, protecting your children is one of the best reasons. Be forceful. Yes, I definitely, I agree with that. And there's certain things that it's just you don't compromise on. Your children's safety is definitely a big one. But I just think that I learned that I needed to chill because I really got emotional, and it kind of like dominated our life for a few years. This whole school issue.
Oh, yeah, that was terrible. Yeah, that was a rough time because having been in a cult type environment and then attempting to transition into normalcy, we didn't know anyone in the town. I mean, we're basically, we were in a cult like environment where the world outside was evil and unenlightened and, carnal and all kinds of stuff. So we basically didn't interact. We didn't know anyone in town. We didn't really have many friends in the neighborhood or neighbors or anything because we were kind of in a spot where we didn't have many immediate neighbors and the kids really didn't have any immediate friends. They could just walk. Like when I grew up in a neighborhood, when I was young, and it was like upper middle class neighborhood in a nice spot. And, you had a lot of kids. You could just get together and play kickball or, capture the flag or any number of games and just interact with, dozens of kids all over. We had none of that. So our kids were isolated. So when we finally broke out of the cult, we were alone. It was really part of the experience where we had to we don't know anyone down in town or anything. So we slowly got involved. We got involved in kind of a local, modest level Christian type church and met people there and slowly reintegrated. But it took years to do that. And then I got on the school board at one point because we put the kids in public school. And of course, they're, kind of in that homeschooler. They weren't as nerdy as some homeschooler kids. And I don't mean to beat down that class of people, but a lot of the homeschoolers are kind of in, narrow little groups where they're nerdy by compared to regular kids. So to get them in the school system and have them fit in was a challenge. And like Marilyn was saying, we had a principal that was kind of in bed with various characters from what we heard and not good on discipline and let a lot of things slide. And then we finally got her out of there and got a guy in that seemed like a great guy, but he became tyrannical and mean, almost the opposite. And he ended up, I don't know how much to say it's personal, but he basically threw Austin out of the school on a technicality. Some other kid had sent him an obscene picture and he threw Austin out because it was on his phone, but he was a recipient of it, not the cause of it. Although I've testified to this, we both know it's probably the best thing that ever happened to Austin in that school. He got thrown out of it and ended up in a much better school, and they helped him kind of launch his music career. All of this being a strange twist of fate.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. That principal, Austin always says that someday he wants to go up to him and thank him for expelling him, because if he didn't, he probably wouldn't have found his passion for music. So yeah, you never know what
Yeah.
things are gonna happen, how things are gonna play out, and with decisions, I feel like it may seem like such a terrible thing at the time, like that that decision that we made to, him being on the school board and everything, it did eventually, things blew up. But like, I think, was it Michelle that said that, yeah, it's never a bad thing to stick up for your children.
No,
That's
no, I
definitely,
totally and completely
yeah. So
agree
I'm
because
glad
we've
we
had to do
did.
that,
But it has worked out. And it's funny that some of the kids that bullied the
Oh
boys in
yeah, they end
Haley,
up,
now they're like putting 20s in their tip jar and stuff. So
oh,
it's,
it is funny. Yeah, there was
yeah.
a rest of the story to that principal story too, along the exact same lines. Well, actually, a number of years later, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, we were at a
Oops,
venue and the
sorry,
boys were playing, and the most amazing thing happened. And talk about vindication is the boys are up playing the gig and doing it really well and knocking it out. And all of a sudden, at one point, I realized that principal and his wife were sitting in an adjacent table ahead of us, closer to the
Yeah.
boys. And at one point, the principal got up and walked by, and he sort of started and looked at me, and he basically humbled himself. He says, "Hey, they're really good." And that was
Yeah.
him. That was the guy that threw Austin out of the school. He was the principal. And I just felt like that was one of those vindicating
Yeah.
moments. And likewise, some of the kids that used to tease him, and like, our kids weren't great at sports. So Austin had tried to play basketball, which
It's a
was
sports
a
town.
bad
Yeah,
fit.
totally.
Yeah. If
Soccer
you
mom
couldn't play
town.
sports
Mhm.
and you weren't some kind of brainiac, then you didn't really fit in. And
Yeah.
so our boys felt like outcasts. But then in the end, those same kids were dropping money. In fact, they made an issue out of it. One of the kids came up there and threw money in the tip jar, and all of his friends over the next hour went up and threw money in
And they
the
were
tip
mad that
jar.
we ran out of T-shirts to sell.
Yeah, we ran out of T-shirts to sell. So that was sort of
Yeah.
like, sometimes you just
Yeah.
got to trust and move forward and do what you can do, and don't take the negative things too hard.
Yeah.
And, fate or God or whoever you
Yeah.
want to attribute it to can work things
Yeah,
out.
and I used to tell, I know that that it gets better is not something to take lightly. I mean, it came out of the terrible uh, experiences that the LGBTQ youth were going through, and it was like, it gets better. And I used to tell my kids that for their situations, even though it was different. But I just look at, I was bullied in school, you were bullied in school. I mean, not everybody was, but a lot of people were. We were. And it did get better. And now the people that, you like, you don't have to be friends with them. And the thing is too is, it's so hard when you're younger and you're in school. And it's like this weird, like, fishbowl. And then as you get older, you realize, like, I don't have to be with these people like all my age all the time. Doesn't have to be like Lord of the Flies all the time. When's the next time you're going to be in a room with 25 to 50 people exactly your age? It doesn't usually happen unless you go to a reunion,
Yeah,
right?
very rare.
So it does get better. And as you get older and you realize who you are, and you kind of more comfortable in your own skin, and you can make your own decisions, then when you get into situations where you feel pressure, you feel that peer pressure, it's a little bit easier. It's getting easier for me to just say, hey, this is my decision. I'm not going to push it on you. What you do is fine. I'm not going to judge anybody. But at the same time, I own my own decision, for better or for worse. So that's
Yeah.
kind of how I feel about it, in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. You have to know who and what you are, and not rely too heavily on what goes on around you, because you can't control, like Marilyn said, you can't really control anyone else. And at best, you're going to be able to control yourself. And you have to make decisions. And I realize, like, a major lesson in life is just realizing that it's okay not to always be right, or it's okay to occasionally make mistakes, because you got to do something. There's a lot of cases where it's a tough call and you're not sure, but you just have to trust. Well, no, either way, you're going to survive. And if you made a mistake, you'll learn from it. And if you did the right thing, so much the better. But to not beat yourself up if you make dumb mistakes, and be willing to risk the consequences of being honest. Because I feel like we're all drawing on
Yeah.
a different body of information in our past and whatever influences we've had in our life. And it's like, we all see the world through a different pair of glasses. So it's like, you've got to do what you believe is right. And other people are not necessarily all going to agree. And that's okay. That's the way life is. You can't, if you just become this bland mishmash of what you think other people think or other people think you should think, then you're nobody. You don't have an identity. You're better off standing your ground, even if you're wrong, because you'll learn something from it. It's like my brother Al laughs. He quotes this guy that he was working for. He was a plumber, and he was kind of a cut and dried guy. And the guy said, it's like, don't just stand there, Al. Do something, even if it's wrong. So we would say
I've
that
heard you
we'd be
say
on
that.
jobs with customers and doing stuff, and we would, we have all these jokes we make just to throw customers off guard. Usually they realize we're being humorous at some point, but we'll yell at each other. Hey, do something. Don't just stand there. Do something, even if it's wrong. The homeowner will look over like all worried,
Right. They don't want you to do it wrong.
Like, wait a minute,
I know, that's so funny. Yeah. Because not making a decision is a decision too, in a way.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like they say, if you come to a fork in the road, take it.
Yeah. So I'll share something that is I'm sure you won't mind, about the Rottweiler story with John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Oh yeah.
When my daughter was a teenager, she was always so hard to get to school. She would just be like, I don't want to go to school. And I remember one morning she'd have to get up early, and I would help her straighten her hair and help her get ready. And so we were doing that whole routine. And then she just said she didn't want to go to school. And I broke. So we were getting, Haley and I were getting a heated discussion about it. And I broke into our bedroom, and Duncan was kind of sleeping in a little bit. It was early. It was like 6:00 in the morning. And I was like, will you do something? Will you make her go to school? Tell her she has to go to school. And he just kind of put the blankets over his head. He was like, I'm not dealing with this, and he was just like, kind of like the girls are bitch fighting again. And I was just like, no, I'm the mother, and I need you to back me up, and blah, blah. And I was just like, force my will out. I'm like, you need to get out of bed, make her go to school. And we had a whole argument about that for probably weeks or days or weeks. And when we've had 3 different counselors. We had a family counselor, I had an individual counselor, and we had like a couples counselor. And over the years, not all at once, but
it's been a while,
this counselor, I call him John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt, but his name was John Messerschmidt. Yeah. His name is my name too. Yeah. So sadly, he passed away not too long ago.
Yeah, a couple of years.
But he said, because I was like, I can't get him to help me. He just and I told him what happened, and he said, okay, so let me ask you something. He said, what are you most afraid of? What's something that you're afraid of? And I was like, well, I'm afraid of big dogs. I've been bit by a German Shepherd. I'm really afraid of Rottweilers. Okay. So he said, well, think of it this way. He said, Duncan doesn't you don't react well to people yelling at you and having, do something. And he said, think of it this way. It's as if you're in bed and a Rottweiler runs in the room and starts barking at you and threatening you. That's kind of the inner feeling that Duncan feels. Right. Yeah. So I was like, at first I was like, wait, you call me a Rottweiler? Excuse me? And then I thought about it later, and I was like, you know what? I'm sure that's true. And I know your mom could be kind of come on strong sometimes too. So yeah. So I started to understand where he was coming from.
Yeah. It is kind of weird. We all have different, whatever reason. My dad was a quiet kind of guy in our household when I grew up, was usually pretty quiet. And if anybody's going to lose it, it would be my mom most of the time. My dad only lost it a couple times. And when he did, he really lost it. So it was like, I inherited his temperament mostly. But when people have big emotional outbursts, it's like, I don't like to ever be an agent or a middleman for other people if I can possibly avoid it. So when somebody comes and says, you go do this and say this and stand in for me and do this, if I if I don't feel it at the time, that's very hard to generate a willingness. I sort of rebel internally against that. And when people are hysterical in their emotions, I tend to go the opposite way and just want to ground out all that emotion so that I can think straight and make a decision, because I go in not having any information. Like, you just wake up and people are screaming, like, oh, Jesus, I've got to dig down and find out what's going on here, because I don't want to jump in there and start screaming too. It just doesn't, that's not how I'm
Right.
wired. So anyway, but it was a humorous story
Yeah.
nonetheless. We had our dealings with Haley.
So let me ask you this. Like, sometimes I feel like if I think about something for a while, weigh my options, and you know, just kind of mull it over in my mind, but I just haven't made a total decision yet, but I'm getting there. And I know I've got to make a decision at some point, maybe tomorrow or whatever. Um, and someone asked me, like, what are you going to do? Like, I don't know. Like, I think of that song. Like, I was singing this to Kelly this morning. I was like, every time I feel the spirit moving in my heart. Like, when I feel it, if I feel to say something at the moment, then I do it. And so it's like, I haven't, if I haven't totally come to a conclusion, but I'm getting there, I sometimes wait until I feel it. I feel it, like, okay, it's time. And sometimes you don't know it's time until it's time. Right?
Oh, totally. I run that way. Like, certain things just you have to be in the right state of being to do certain things. Cause I'm like that. I'll have things I need to do and I'll just put them off sometimes until I feel inspired to. And then when the flow is there, when the energy is there and the desire is there, then they just happen and they go well. And if you try to fight your way through, sometimes you got to make a thing happen. But if you're fighting the fact that you're not in the right state or you're not ready, then you're almost wasting your time and it won't go well. So yeah, I'm very much that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't want, because poor Duncan, I feel like you don't want to be speaking for someone else. You don't want to be like, yes, this is, you're like, they're treating me fine, blah 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 blah. You got to internalize it, and sometimes it takes time, and it's can be so obvious to me. With him, I'm just like, well, don't you see and then I realized that I don't like that when people do it to me. So I really shouldn't be doing it to him or anyone else, So learning to be patient and to realize that I have some self-doubt when it comes to, making big decisions or snap decisions that I know will affect other people, you know. So yeah, that was just something on my mind. We don't have to talk about that the whole time. I like to interact with you guys. And the other day we had Duncan on. He was Kelly's like, is he gonna sing today? I'm like, well, if he feels the spirit.
Yeah, no guarantees there at all.
I'm just gonna brighten my screen for a second. Housekeeping. Because I don't know if you can see, but I can't see. La-di-da. How do I do it? I usually know how to do it.
I do not know. Well, we're here. We're visible.
Yeah. I'm just trying to be able to read. That's all.
Oh,
I think.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, it's
the lower.
Oh no, it's as bright as it gets. Okay.
What's that lower? Oh, that's a speaker one.
Yeah.
You're maxed out. Oh well.
Oh, okay. I just got to get a little closer.
Yeah.
And I got to try to.
So I was going to say, this singing thing kind of came about because when the boys started getting into music, the way Austin would learn a lot of songs is singing them, and we'd karaoke because we'd have fun doing drunken karaoke because that was the kind of the extent of our capabilities. But anyway, we learned after a while, it became everything was song lyrics, like to communicate with each other. We were so into listening to music that if you were talking and a song came into your head that expressed what you were saying, you just switched over to the song. It became almost habitual. So we still do it a little bit.
Oh, we do it all the time.
Yeah, we do it all the time.
Like when I tell Michelle, I'm like, you can click on that. You got the power. And we just start, I got the power. Yeah, I don't know. It just comes, I think in little song clips. So I'm just gonna go through a couple of things here. Kelly, I'm excited. Hi, Cal. So glad you're here. I'm excited to hear the boys' music someday. Hope we will see an album one day. Yeah, I'm hoping they do have a demo. I will
Oh
I
yeah,
will
we could
share
send
some
her a
with you.
copy,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Yeah. Yeah. They did have a music video that was produced. I'm not sure how they're gonna put it out, but I'll definitely
Hmm.
keep everyone posted. But if you're friends with me on Facebook, definitely we put
Yeah, you can
some
find a
posts
certain
up.
amount of material, yeah, on our
Yeah.
Facebook pages.
And
So
he posts things on Coffee Cults and Crafts
yeah, actually,
on
I could put
Facebook.
more on there.
Yeah.
If people want to see more videos on coffee cults and crafts, maybe put a
We
one
can
in the
do.
chat or put an M in the chat for music. If we get enough of them, we
Yeah.
can put a few videos up. It certainly won't
Yeah,
hurt.
maybe one a week or something like
Yeah,
that.
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
We don't want to overload it,
Yeah, we
but
don't
on the
want to
other
bombard
hand,
everybody.
yeah.
Oh, that was so cool. Last night, Amy does, her little segments on I call it Wonder Woman Wednesday, but they had Mike Brown on and she does her like quote of the day and her the quote of the week and or the comment of the week, and then she did photo of the week, and it was the little baby Davy elf guy doll. And I had gotten a whole bunch of pictures from so many people that had gotten them this week, and they sent in pictures, and I made like a little collage with that right with the anchors around it,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
I made
Oh,
it the
it's
cover photo,
hilarious.
and
Yeah.
she posted it last night. So yeah, we like to make it a group effort on there. So it's just so much fun. It's really fun. Joel McCoy, hey buddy, hey Joel. Marilyn, you say you're not highly educated. That is not as important as some may think. I have 2 degrees and I've learned everything that is really important from school of life. Yeah. Thank you, Joel. I love that.
Hmm.
Like that. Um, Michelle and Reese, what a great story. It's good to concentrate on the glass half full. Yes, definitely. Selma, hey Selma. I'm kind of I'm late saying hi to people. I hope I don't miss you. But Tiff 45, hey. Hello, hello. Back. Hi back. Nice to see you. I saw your most of your interview with Chad the other day. She's Beck is a ex
Oh yeah,
Scientologist.
yeah. Very
Yes,
cool.
it
Very
was
cool.
great.
Hmm.
Um, Michelle R. Duncan sounds like my dad. Such a great anchor of the family, calm and patient, but supportive.
I
That's
try. It's a
that's what you
heavy, in a
are.
way,
That's
it's
a
a
good
heavy
way.
responsibility, but it's a good one because you feel like you're investing your life and time in other people and your own people, and you know, it's very
Yeah.
satisfying. It's not the easiest, but
Right.
it's probably the most rewarding in its own way. To see like the kids grow and become people, and they learn and remember and carry on, hopefully the better things. And it is kind of cool. It's like you get a second chance at life through your kids, even though you're not trying to control them. It's more like you get to see them and encourage them to do stuff maybe you couldn't do or didn't do. And I'm proud of my kids because I've seen them do things I couldn't do. I could never have done what the boys are doing or even what Haley's doing. I'm like, well, more power to you. And I'm glad to see them advancing in life and doing good. And
Right. Yeah.
we're happy with that.
Yeah, that's a good point because you've always been very supportive and gentle of like bringing out the best in people. I think you bring out a good side of me, and that's really important because I think that the old school way of disciplining and training and raising kids was molding them into what you felt like they should be, instead of nurturing them and letting them become the person that they were meant to be and that want to be. Sorry, I'm very Lori Plays showed me this and it works.
Oh, it does. Refocuses it.
Yeah, but that's weird because you don't want to be like in the middle of a stream like we are right now and
Yeah.
have to do that all the time.
Nope.
So I could just subtly be like, oh, wait, we got to take a break and say, Osa, come on out. Right.
I was going to take off on what Marilyn said a tiny bit, even though I may have said this on a prior stream, but I'll say it again. But the whole idea with the love thing and versus, like Marilyn just brought up a couple of times, the real hard, old school, almost like really terrible, rough, beat your kids into submission mentality. And I've always hated that. And it never came as clear why as recently when I sort of came to this realization that like ultimately love is everything. And it's the power that like love's a force. I see it as not just a concept or a word, but it's an actual force. And it's like, Marilyn was quoting earlier. Oh, maybe you were on the phone about Corinthians 13 and the love chapter and all this stuff.
Oh,
And
that
I'm
was
like,
Amy. Yeah, Amy Scobie
Amy
quoted that.
Scobie. And I'm like, well, what's beautiful about that is, and I believe in this, is that the whole idea of love being patient, kind, and long suffering and all this is that when you're dealing with kids or even our little puppies, you have to have those characteristics to give them the time and freedom to become who they're going to be. And when you see a little kid or a puppy, they don't know anything. And sometimes I get angry or frustrated with the dogs for peeing on the floor or whatever. I'm like, you know what? They're just little critters. They don't know any better. And they're only going to learn so much, but you can train them. But if you get angry, it paralyzes them. It paralyzes kids. They get in fear. And I'm like, the Bible says itself, perfect love casts out all fear. And there's power in that because love allows a person the time and space to grow and learn and make mistakes and screw
Yes.
up and pee on the floor and all the kinds of stuff.
I'll try not to pee on the
Smash
floor
up
anymore.
cars, and people, yeah, if you could desist from that, that'd be terrific. But, the whole idea being that love is a force that allows people to grow and become who they're supposed to be. And it's the dead opposite of that beat them into submission and slap that little baby if he crawls out of the circle that he's supposed to stay in. That is utter horseshit. I just say it over and over. It's like beating people into submission is even like Scientology, all this kind of stuff about being non-emotional, and snuffing out the relationship between parents and their kids. This is a dead opposite of what any God would ever want. And, love wants to see the best for other people, and even at cost of self, and it's hard. That's a hard thing to take on sometimes because it's unselfish, but that's what growth is all about. Like looking out for the better interests of other people and make life better for them. And they say the happiest people are people that spend their time trying to make other people happy, not just trying to make themselves happy, because that can be a hole. It's empty. It's like drinking, it feels great at the time, but who does it really benefit in the end? Nobody. But it alleviates anxiety or whatever thing, but it's not a growth thing. It doesn't help anybody. So anyway, enough on that rant, but that's,
Okay,
I think it just helps us understand why Scientology and why, some of these old school hardcore religious belief systems, they're not right. They don't really represent a God of love. They represent some kind of hard, extreme, austere discipline thing, which is not correct.
Absolutely. It's taken me a long time. Like I don't know who God is, if there's a God, whatever. I do feel like, and I said this, I commented on Amy's stream last night, and I said, if there's a God, you exemplify his love, because I think uh, I had to memorize the entire book of First Corinthians, and it's what is it 13? It's 15, 16 chapters, a lot of chapters. And First Corinthians 13 is called the love chapter. And I memorized the whole book, including the love chapter. So I know it by heart still. And my first reaction when I saw that she popped that up last night, I was like, and then I just breathed. And then I heard her reading it. And then I've known some things that she's done recently that really, really showed that she is such a loving, compassionate, caring person. And she's helped my friends so much. And I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional, but her reading that actually like brought tears to my with my fucking tissues.
All right, bye now on the tissue box getting
Damn
low.
it. I don't like to hear scriptures because it's triggering to me, But her reading that brought tears to my eyes like it is now. And because I know she lives it. She lives it. So I don't know where she attributes it to God. Which is fine. Maybe that's true. But I tell you, she's a good one. She's a good egg in my book. So if there is a God and he's trying to tell me something, maybe Amy would be the person to that I'd listen to. Maybe, So yeah, you never know. But yeah, no, I got on that. But you were just talking about the
Yeah.
First Corinthians. Yeah.
Well, I
So
feel like religions have, as a rule, especially cult religions, have badly misrepresented God. And
yeah.
I feel funny saying this
Hmm.
because I know there's a lot of people who are so jaded from their experiences that it's hard to believe in anything. So after a while, you want to throw everything out because it's contaminated. And I've struggled. The Christianity is probably the only religion that I couldn't just analyze and summarily throw out because the others just to me are started by people that lack credibility, and there's wise men, there's cult leaders, all kinds of people. Like anything, there's a lot of truth. Like the Bible's a collection of many things written over many years, so obviously there's a lot of truth, and it was sort of the distillate of what people felt was the wisdom available that's been shown. And yet I feel like religion itself and religions have done a terrible job of representing God, especially because
Hmm.
there's a lot of this harsh, negative, destructive stuff that goes on and has gone on in churches, and people are very corruptible, and we raise them up. Like even Jesus said, don't call anyone master or teacher. Well, how many religions even listen to that? That's something that gets screened out. It gets filtered out because they build hierarchies and put people over people over people over people. And the old expression, power corrupts. Like to me, that explains very well when you empower people and give them titles and uniforms and badges and cloaks and all this sort of stuff,
Mm,
then next
yeah.
thing you know, people
No.
are, and it happens in every cult too. You over empower somebody, and now it goes to their head, and next thing you know, everybody's bowing to them, and then it corrupts.
Yeah,
It
well,
really
Jesus
does.
Jesus didn't like the religious
He didn't
leaders
like it
of
at
his
all.
day, the Sadducees and the Pharisees. And they're the ones that, partially the ones that ended up
Well, yeah, they went around
crucifying
in
him.
robes and
Yeah.
everything, and he was a
And
threat
they
to
were,
them because
yeah.
he was claiming to be somebody that they thought they were representing, and they couldn't deal with it because he was humble
Yeah.
and didn't make a big issue. He didn't drive around in a Rolls Royce and dress in, $5,000 suits and everything like that. So they didn't. That's what people respect on earth. Like people worship Hollywood people and all these others that are in positions of power. And I think Jesus just turned the whole thing on its head by coming in a different form, and trying to explain to us, no, don't go glorifying people and putting them over each other because you're going to get corrupt.
Right.
So anyway,
Yeah. I'm gonna go through some comments, honey. Michelle, wow, this conversation is really timely. Thank you. Yeah, usually my morning musings kind of come out of what I'm going through, what we've been talking about. And yeah, I think that we're all any community is tested at any point, and sometimes like we were talking about. I don't know anything about weather or anything. Duncan should have been a weatherman, but we were talking about like rain clouds and how like the condensation and the water builds up sometimes, and you get this like pressure and everything, and then all of a sudden, it rains. So sometimes there could be things going on in the background that need a correction, right? And we don't want to be divided, and we as creators, all of I don't know how many there are now, bajillion, 50, 40, something like that. We have autonomy over our own channel, and we do make decisions based on our own style, and every channel is different. So yeah, it is sometimes hard to make a difficult decision, but nobody should be telling anybody what to do with their own channel. If it and it's usually it's very evident by how many followers and things that you have and the type that you have. There's some creators that I absolutely love them as people, but they're just not, their style just doesn't completely click with me, and it's okay. I think it's great. I've been accused of being super corny, and I cry and I say, give me my tissues, like some people are probably like, so I think we all need to be free to be who we are. And I will be always be a supporter of that. Everyone being their own individual person, and doing what they feel is right for them, loving who they love, being who they are. That is totally their prerogative as humans. We I never get political. I don't like politics. I don't care about politics. When it comes down to a vote, I go to the polls. Honestly, I vote both sometimes because I look at I'm like more of an issues person. I'm not all one side or the other. I could care less about that. So it's not that. But some things are black and white. And some things are just a matter of not politics, but they're common decency and human rights and human decency. So that's where I stand for my channel. And yeah, I'm not going to ever perpetuate drama by doxing anyone. I'm not on some kind of campaign, or I don't have an axe to grind, but I do. If someone asks me my opinion or what I know about something, I'll give them the information and they can make their own decision. But I'm not going out there trying to convince anybody of anything. Everybody has their own right to make their own decisions. So that's what I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. In fact, I feel like I'm big on the whole freedom thing. It's like, I don't know, that's like one of my main personal themes is I love freedom and the idea. Well, I have New Hampshire shirts that say live free or die. Like that sounds morbid, but on the other hand, it's like rather than living as a captive, fight for freedom. Freedom is that place where you can become yourself and do what you want to do and all of this. And like anything oppressive, tyrannical, and controlling like a cult, I hate that. So I feel like, yeah, our mission is to help set people free. And once you're free, it's like, okay, yeah, it's up to you. You're given a life. You're who you were created to be. And now you need the freedom to become who you actually want to be, not micromanaged, taken over, made into some little robot, told that you have to die to everything that you actually are when you were created the way you are. Like, to me, that was all stuff that I realized was wrong with some of like the cultic religion we were in, was this overemphasis on, like, I can see, okay, there's two types of dying for causes. And one is this mentality like, oh, God can't use you unless you're completely dead and you're not yourself. So then you go on this process of self-annihilation. You got to lay down
Right.
your desires and all this stuff. And it sounds noble and honorable in a way, but yet
Yeah.
it's deceptive because you basically can't be who you are, and you have to set aside who and what you want to do and love and and it becomes very morbid. And to me, that just didn't work.
I hated that because I see that in the stories of people who left Scientology and the Sea Org and Public and pretty much staff anywhere, is that they thought that they were putting aside who they were and what they wanted to be, because of they're saving the planet and this is for the greater good, and to the point where they even sacrifice their own relationships with their own children and their own family,
and kill off their own offspring because it's in the way of their supposedly higher calling, which is ludicrous. But
right. Poe on the go. I'm back. Hey, Duncan.
Hey, there it is.
Yes.
Howdy.
See? He's going to have some issue with it. He's going to be like, he looks like a victim. He probably has some chains on him. We don't know.
Yeah, the screen only shows my face. So you have to take the rest of it on faith.
Yeah, so I got some really good input. Sorry if I missed anyone's comments. Kelly, Marilyn, I think in little song clips too. Really? I didn't know that. Yes. Sometimes we just sing to each other. It's so funny. Selma, as an empath, I had to learn that everybody has their own path to walk. Even if I see choices that might be good for them, I should grant everybody the chance to walk their own path. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep.
And I think that sometimes, people mean well. They'll be coming to you with something and be like, oh, I'm just trying to protect you. I'm just trying to, but it's like, I think that you have to consider the relationship too. You have to consider the person, whether, you have a history with them. I mean, cult survivors do not like to be told what to do because we've been told what to do.
Exactly,
we've been told what to do for many years, how to act, how to think, how to do everything.
Yeah, that's another thing is like, I always push, like, don't let anyone do your thinking for you, because if they do, your mind and ability to make decisions and think weakens. And then, like, I think of some of these terrible cults like Scientology or like Keith Raniere, for example, people that want to get you to completely submit to the point of being micromanaged and then doing things supposedly to benefit your soul by hardening yourself against yourself and doing things you find abhorrent because it's part of, like, oh, don't you want to grow and become better? This is utter bullshit. And he duped people into thinking that he was some godlike character. There's people would actually start obeying him blindly just to do what he said. And ultimately they were abused and corrupted and everything. And I'm like, well, cults, it's that evil, narcissists tend to do stuff like that, but because they're all about themselves. But it's just like duping people into actually submitting to being micromanaged. I'm like, this is the kind of thing that it's good that we have this group where we can say, hey, these are the things that watch out for. These are red flags. Never follow somebody that wants more and more power over you and get you to do insane things, like people that submitted to getting branded in the name of somehow becoming a better person. Ludicrous, painful, terrible, abhorrent things that make people feel like they're actually advancing in some cause or some cult. It's like, no, maintain your freedom, do your own thinking. If something seems wrong to you, run from it. Don't do it. Wait until you have enough information to make a clear decision. Like, just the stuff that people have gotten away with talking other people into doing is madness. So, stay free, get free, stay free, help other people get free. Get out if you're under a cult-like situation where you're being governed by fear.
If you're in Scientology and you're under the radar, contact the Aftermath.
Aftermath.org. Yep, they'll help you out. They'll help you out.
Yep. Michelle says, my dad drove my mom crazy because he would sit back and watch and listen, and my mom would react and want him to do the same.
Yep.
Preach. Yeah. That's probably why we ended up in counseling. That's totally true. And I think that we sort of like kind of came to a happy medium, through really starting to talk and everything. I started to chill a little bit and he started to act a little bit as I started to chill a little bit. So it was sort of a chain reaction. So, and the kids listen to him more when he does talk. So, wait a minute. Let me get the other one first. This is a good one. Poet, I deal with doubt all the time when it comes to my work. The good old imposter syndrome. I know I'm a good poet, not as good as some, better than others. It can be very frustrating. Yeah, that's a really good point, Poet, is that any area of your life that you want to advance in because you love to do it. You can. I have imposter syndrome all the time. Like sitting here, I'm just like, really? There's 31 people watching. Like, oh my gosh, like really? Thanks, guys. So I totally understand that. But you are a good poet. You're a really important part of this community. So rock on, Poet. Cedar Duval. Yes, imposter syndrome can be debilitating. We have to remind ourselves to never compare. Good point. Never compare ourselves to others. Your innate talents and value are unique to you.
Yep.
Definitely. That was beautiful. See, that's why I love hanging out with these guys in the morning. A good way to start my day.
Well, we were talking last night and it kind of occurred to me that one reason this group is so tight is like, we've all been through stuff, a lot of it bad stuff, and we got out of it. And because we've suffered under different things, pretty much this whole group, you become more empathetic because you've suffered, you've been there, you've been under that. So if you put together a big group of people that are all big successes, I don't know, it'd be a different dynamic. Everybody be slapping each other in the back. But for us, it's a little bit different. Like, we understand you can reach out and help people and feel their pain and know what they've been through. And it's just a bonding thing that's good, because now we're all into supporting each other, helping each other out and encouraging each other and to become who we were meant to be. And I think too, is like, we got out of a cult situation, but we weren't born in it and we weren't entirely governed by it our whole life. And I just feel such like, holy crap, like people that were in Scientology 30, 40 years, it was the only life they ever knew. And then can you imagine waking up one day and just, realizing like Rosemary, all of a sudden it dawns on you in a matter of days or hours that your entire life was a fraud and you were deceived. I mean, how utterly, you talk about disillusionment. Holy
Yeah,
crap. To
I know.
realize you'd been duped by a fraud, an imposter, and spent your life chasing after wind and doing something that made no sense. Holy crap. Like, I give credit to all these people that are still standing, that still have sanity after all that. And,
Yeah.
you'd
And
think you'd want to jump
realize
off a freaking bridge,
to realize that LRH was a big piece of shit. I love that.
It's a piece of shit.
I hope that whoever does any videos with her or anything, like Kelly, if you're going to do a documentary, you got to put that clip in there. And everybody got to put that. Anybody that does any compilations of her has to put that in there. Jane Harris. Hey, Jane, it's our friend.
Oh, yeah.
We had countdowns with.
Yeah.
Duncan, it gets even better becoming a grandparent to you and Marilyn. Yeah, someday.
Very cool. Yeah.
Someday.
Hopefully that'll come down the pipe.
We have our doggies, so we sort of like grandparents to them, but they live here.
Grand critters.
Yeah. We have step grandchildren.
Yeah.
Joel says, one of the most powerful changes in my life was when I met a man who was consumed with anger and hate. I promised myself I would go with love and kindness. It was the best thing for me. That's right.
Yep.
Doesn't feel good to hate. No. Amy, when people or things are followed instead of goodness, there is the problem. Power corrupts. Yeah,
yep,
absolutely. Sure. That's I think that's why cults they start off seeming good and then they just get worse and worse and worse and worse because of the power. From a poet, I got enough drama going on in my own head. Don't need that from my SPTV family. Absolutely, I agree. No drama free. Selma, please just respect and love others as they are with their own voice. That's all. If you don't want to see something, don't watch. That's right. That's right. That is so true. Nick, I always advise people to think for themselves and question everything. Right.
Totally.
Yeah, that's it, which is the absolute polar opposite of what we were taught.
Totally. Yeah, critical thinking to me is everybody's ultimate main responsibility in life is to do their own thinking for themselves, because letting somebody else do your thinking is lazy, and it opens you right up to being deceived and taken off course. So it's like,
Yeah, it can be lazy, but it can also just be like you've resigned yourself because you've been beaten down so much that you don't, you're scared.
It's an easier path.
I think it's fear. Well,
yeah.
It is easier, but it's also like, okay, the whole thing with the paint colors. If anyone's heard my story, I always mention Marlene with the paint colors, right? It is easier. It was easier not to just fight her, just be like, whatever. But at the same time, like, it was killing me inside to not say something, because Duncan was, putting time and effort away from his family, money, blood, sweat, and tears into painting these rooms, giving her money to put down payments on. And he's got, 3 kids at home and a really demanding job, an hour away, 2-hour commute every day. So she was just being completely like not Christian at all. And that's when it started to really dawn on me. I'm like, I'm done. It was sometimes the smallest thing is the last straw, but the first thing was really with my daughter and the demons and the, labeling her a Jezebel, casting out spirits out of her. I think that's what really started us talking like, this isn't good. And even then it took 2 years. So, I appreciate when people are patient with me and let me, just kind of lay out the crumbs. It's like kind of like a wounded animal. You want to, Joel, if you're still in the chat, how do you approach like Farrell Marilyn? We're gonna call her Farrellyn, because Farrellyn was what the bank used to call me all the time. So maybe they knew something. They used to send me those check receipts calling me Farrellyn. So you could call me Farrellyn because I am a little bit feral, and so is Farrellyn Marilyn the cat. Yeah, like how do you approach that, Joel? I guess you got to be kind of like luring them like gentle, like I'm not going to hurt you, you know. So I kind of felt like that with the world. It was like I just kind of like go out and like just see people and I'm like, "Oh, they're not so bad. They're not so bad," you know, and in different groups that were supposedly so terrible, you know. Wait, they're nicer than the Christians I know. Some of the Christians I know. So yeah, and even like with Amy Scobie, I mean, she's a lovely, lovely, lovely person. And I'll admit, when I found out she was a Christian, I was just like, oh, I don't know. I'm just kind of scared to listen to her. She's lovely and she lives it.
Mm,
She lives her faith. So
mm.
I don't have any problems with that. Uh, Selma, freedom is also responsibility, which can be really hard. Yeah. Yeah. Because you don't have anyone telling you what to do, controlling you.
Yeah.
The responsibility is on yourself, you
Yeah, I was
know?
just going to say that ties into the last thing because I realize one reason, and because I've been through this personally, so I know, is like if you've been beaten down or told not to trust yourself and you're basically told to doubt yourself, then you can absolve yourself of responsibility for making decisions by hiding behind somebody else and letting them make your decisions for you, and thus that translates into letting other people tell you what to do and control you and even micromanage you. And now you think you're off the hook, like, okay, I'm doing what I'm being told to do, so I can't really be faulted, and that absolves you of the fear of having made mistakes and made wrong calls. But then also you lost your freedom, you gave up your freedom for the security of having somebody else supposedly take responsibility for what you're doing. And in a normal, like a job situation or something, okay, you're submitting to people over you and they're telling you, okay, go do this and you know build that or whatever, and that's totally different. That's normal. But the whole idea of not taking responsibility for yourself and letting other people do your thinking for you and submitting to being micromanaged because it's an escape from being responsible, it'll hold you back terribly in life. So there's a point where somebody's got to come into your life and tell you, hey, it's okay to get out there and make a mistake or two. Do your best, try, learn, whatever. Get out there. You've got to blaze your own trail through life for the most part. If you follow somebody that's a good leader or doing well, then yeah, you can learn a lot from them. But ultimately, you've got an individual path to follow that can go all over the place. And in order to learn what you're supposed to learn in this life and to develop into who you're supposed to be, you've got to take the courage to go out there and risk making mistakes. So the people that hinder you the most in life are people that make you afraid, and perfectionist people that beat you down if you don't do things perfectly. No, no, no. That's the opposite of reality. You've got to be able to get out there and try and make mistakes, and you'll get better as you go along. That's just the way life has to be. If you're going to develop into who you're going to be, you've got to be able to get out there and take a few hits and learn what you got to learn.
Yes, definitely. Sorry. Steve was texting me. I'm like, I'm live, Steve-O. Steve-O, I'm
Yeah, tune in,
live.
bub.
Yeah. Nick, sadly, most people are taught to seek external validation. I tell people, validate yourself. That's good. Nick, I don't think I know you, but I like all of your input. It's great. Yeah, absolutely. Tampa Bay man. Hi, sweetie. Good to see you, Barb. Good to see you. What happened to do unto others as you'd want done to you? Live and let live. Right. Put yourself in others' shoes. Just love one another. I'm so confused how so much pain is happening to so many. Yeah, do unto others. Right. I mean, just accept people the way they are and love them. And yeah, it breaks my heart to see people in pain, my friends in pain. And yeah, I agree, honey. I agree. It's good reminder. And yeah, like I said earlier, I don't think you were here yet. Amy Scobie had put up the scripture from the love chapter, 1 Corinthians 13, and I was saying how I commented on her stream last night, and she must have been awake. I think is she in Clearwater time? I think she's in Eastern time too. So I guess we were both awake late. I wrote that sometimes hearing people quote scriptures can be very triggering to me because I get a little bit I don't know, like choked up, like I get like freezing because so much of it was weaponized against me that it's almost like I feel condemned just by hearing a scripture. But the way I'm gotten to know her and a little bit, and like just hearing her story and how she treats people and how loving she is and how she lives her faith, I like kind of listened, instead of
Hmm.
like just muting it or blocking my ears. I was like, you know what? That's beautiful. And hearing her quote that. So I wrote a little thing on comment on her stream and just thanked her for being a good example of God's love. If God exists, then if there is a God, then I think his love does shine through her. So she loved that. She said that really warmed her heart. So yeah, so I guess I am like the little scared animal. Like I can listen to Amy Scobie's quote one verse and not implode.
Yeah. Right.
So it's a process.
I mean, even when we were before we escaped the cult and began to realize things were wrong, I realized that actually it wasn't necessarily that a lot of the things in the Bible were wrong. It's the way they were interpreted and applied to us. And that's why I actually got kind of dissed for, because she was at a point allowing some of us up and coming people to occasionally preach. And I did a thing that was basically on like Corinthians and certain things. And I remember there's a scripture that I still come back to, because escaping from that was realizing that it wasn't all that the Bible was wrong. It was the way we were being beaten down with it, beaten over the head with it, that was really the wrongest part of it.
Yeah.
But there's a scripture somewhere that says, and Jesus himself said, this sums up all the law and the prophets, this statement. And I believe that the very next words out of his mouth were the golden rule and saying, well, love one another as yourself and do unto others you'd have them do unto you.
Right.
And that stuck with me. I'm like, well, wait a minute. So all the rest of this is just intended to flesh out and express this one idea. But if
Yeah.
he said this sums up all law and the prophets, then everybody that's coming after you with all these negative beatdown type scriptures is utterly mistaken, because if they're opposing these simple concepts, and all he's asking is saying, hey, love your neighbor as yourself and do unto
Right.
others you would have them do
Yeah.
unto you. You don't really need a
I was
hell
to
of a lot
say,
else.
thus
You really
fulfills,
don't.
right, thus
Yeah.
fulfills the law and the prophets.
Yeah.
So that fulfills everything else.
Yeah, it throws so much out the window. All
Yeah.
this barrages of stuff, a lot of negative stuff. It's like, I believe a lot of this, what he intended and said was meant to uplift and help people. And even there's a scripture that says perfect love casts out all fear. Well, then you have people going around trying to
That's my
scare other
favorite one.
people
Yeah.
into becoming Christians by showing them.
Sorry,
And
I gotta do my OSA thing because the camera's getting blurry again.
oh
Sorry.
yeah, okay, no
Lori
worries.
Plays taught me that.
But I was going to say that, like, a friend of mine relate to the story to me. He grew up Catholic, and he said that one day they brought him down in the furnace room in the church and literally opened the little window, because furnaces in the old days, they would have a little door that you could slide open to make sure the thing was lit and look at the flame. So the guy opened this little door and had them look inside at the fire and then say, well, if you don't obey God and believe in God, that's where you're going for eternity.
Yeah.
Well, if I'd say that would legally constitute undue influence and intimidation and fear. Like, wait a minute. I don't know. I don't recall reading a scripture in which Jesus did that to anybody, especially little kids. And, so anyway, I just felt like, yeah, that was a way. If you scare people into saying yes to something based on
Yeah.
nothing but fear, I don't see how you've actually convinced them or given them enough information to make a good decision. So anyway.
Yeah. Let's see. Sorry, I got some things I'm trying to organize here. Oh, Kelly. I've been asking questions my whole life, and that's why I'm an SP. That's right, Kelly.
There you go. Yeah.
She's just like
Yeah.
because we were talking the other day. I was like, I didn't really know like what I thought. Like I couldn't really like differentiate my thinking between whatever the devil or whatever. Everything's like that's of the devil. That's so funny because Lindsay Williams from Shiny Happy People. I was telling everybody earlier that we talked yesterday, and she's going to do a live with me and Peggy on Friday, next Friday, not tomorrow, next Friday. And she was like using some of the lingo. I was like, oh my God, like that's off the devil. Yeah. So funny. But oh, super chat. Oh, thank you so much, Ray. Just joined your channel recently. Wanted to say you are the sweetest person and that your giggle laugh is so uplifting. Thank you so much, honey.
So you don't need to doubt yourself.
Oh, thank you. I know. I was like, I feel bad about crying, but I just couldn't help it. I was talking about Amy.
You got this problem. You're human.
Oh, damn it. And poet, he's a poet and he quoted it and he knows it. He was just like, Marilyn Honig quote, like, what was that? Now I don't even remember. Like, give me my fucking Kleenex. Yeah. Oh, speaking of poet, dogs are some of the best people I know.
No doubt. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, Steve.
That's a tall order, dude. I don't know.
Yeah. Coming from Steve-O, everyone behaving.
Yeah. I don't know if you can make that claim, but
are you behaving, Steve-O?
Behaving,
Steve-O,
maybe not well, you know.
Steve-O has a wrench. So Steve-O, you can put up your link for tonight with Mitch Brisker. He's doing Scientology origins. So he's talking to some of the first gens about what their life was like before joining Scientology. So instead of just hearing their Scientology story, it's like what kind of led them up to joining Scientology, which I think is super interesting. Barb. Oh, Barb, got a tornado warning going on here. Oh, be safe, honey.
Yeah, I saw something on the news this morning that there'd been a tornado, a touchdown in Clearwater. I don't know where you are exactly, but
Tampa B, man.
Oh, so you're not all that far away.
No.
Yeah.
No. Amy, I think Amy isn't preaching. She's living and not trying to convert anyone. Yeah, absolutely. I don't feel preached at, and I very easily feel preached at, and I don't feel preached at from her. So, yeah. And it's her channel. She can pray if she wants to, right? It's her channel. She can pray if she wants to. And it's my channel, and I'll cry if I want to. Yeah. If you don't want to hear prayer, you don't want to see crying.
Yeah.
There's so many other channels. There's such like fabulous, fantastic
live and let live.
people.
You can watch.
That's right. Like Barb said, live and let live.
Yeah.
Yes. There's something for everyone. It really is. And there's no judgment, no pressure to be anything, you know? Yes, Nick, being a big person energetically can really scare people who are not there yet. So it makes people like me, for instance, diminish myself because as an empath, I feel bad. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't get the other part of that, but I popped that up. I know you weren't talking to me, or us. But yeah, I like that because it's true. Like I can kind of come on strong, but I can also be like introverted too. I can, kind of whoever's like the most confident in the room, I can be like, and then sometimes I just give up. It's like the wind's out of my sails, and I don't like to do that to other people. And I realized I was kind of doing it to Dunk, and I don't, like to, I mean,
we're all learning. That's
yeah.
That's part of the idea of moving forward and helping other people is like, we're all learning and we're all going down a path. And it's like, other people are going to screw up and stumble. And somebody put a comment up about, letting other people, it was a while ago, so I don't, we don't have to find it, but it was just the general idea of, not interfering in other people's lives. Like you see somebody, doing something and you feel like maybe you could make their path easier. And it's sort of a reasonable thing to argue sometimes is you don't want to actually jam up somebody else's path by doing too much. So you got to have a sense of what's too much and what isn't. Like if you see somebody, that just took a hard fall and then you get back on their feet, it's reasonable to reach down and help them up. But somebody else might be climbing a very steep mountain and they need that's part of their destiny. So you don't want to make life too easy or too hard for anybody else. You got to have a sense of where they're at. And even if they're going to make a mistake, sometimes you got to let them make the mistake to learn from it if they won't, if that's where they're at.
I want to pop this one. This one up is really good, honey. Kind of was thinking about what you said about the furnace and all that. Tampa B, man, this is Barb. I feel like for me, I don't care what religion you are. Judgment belongs to whatever God you have, not the people who follow a God. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better. Totally right. Um, yeah, it's like judge not, lest you be judged.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
OG Foster, crying buckets myself today. Being told you can't have your feelings or show them is worst thing parents or religions can do. I had to learn to be authentic. Yeah, I'm
Yep.
sorry if you're
Mhm.
sad, but sometimes crying can
Yeah, you
it
gotta
is
let it
healing,
out.
you
Yeah.
know. But
Mm.
we're holding space for you. I hope everything's okay. Um, right, that's right, Barb. I do not want the power to judge. Yep. Yep. Yeah, sending you love. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we all feel each other's pain. We feel each other's joy. We rejoice in your wins. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
they call it a win. And yeah, we don't. Oh, I got laid off yesterday. Oh, well,
Ooh.
that's definitely
Yeah.
really, really
That's just
tough.
cause. That's
So
tough.
sorry.
Mm.
So sorry.
Mm.
Let's see if I have any more start here. Tampa Bay man. I have a daughter with borderline, and I've learned feelings are always valid, even if you don't understand them. Definitely. Yeah,
Mm.
totally. Um, you can't tell people how they feel, you know, because they feel how they feel, right? So that's something I had to learn for myself because it was very hard to stuff my feelings down. Nicole, I did it as best I
Mm.
could. And I would crochet my frustrations
Yeah.
sometimes, you know.
Mm.
He would usually swim his frustrations or hike or,
Yeah.
you
Get out
know,
and just something physical.
yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
sometimes that was very cathartic, you know. See if there's I'm sorry if I missed anybody's comments. I'm trying to get everyone I can. Um, oh, here we go. Scientology clips SPTV. Love it. Love the title. My church is very rare in the fact that they encourage critical thinking and don't look down on doubt.
Good. That's
Good.
rare.
That's really
Rare
good.
and
It's
good.
really good. And I'll be honest. When I titled this "Dealing with Doubt, Making Decisions," I looked up dealing with doubt, and a lot of it had to do with religion. And I was like, well, I don't. That's not really the doubt I'm having. Well, I'm sure it is the doubt. Some of the doubts I'm having, but that's not really what I was thinking about when I made the title or was thinking about doubt. I was talking about like self-doubt with your own, everyday decisions about relationships or excuse me, things you need to do. As far as the greater picture of yeah, I do have a lot of doubts. I guess what I know is that I don't know. I'm open to knowing, but still it's just like, you know. Um yeah, it's just sometimes I like put things on the shelf for
Well, it's okay to
days,
do
weeks,
that.
months, years.
Well, you know what's funny about religion? I was just thinking this is that in most areas of life, nobody gets in your face and asks you to make decisions based on very little information because it's not scientific and it doesn't make sense. But people, I think a lot of people get this whole evangelical pressure like, well, you've got to, even if you're a convert that just decided you believe in something, the next day people are pressing you to go out and start telling other people about it when you don't know anything. You have very little life experience or knowledge. And now you're trying to press people into making decisions, especially people that use deception or intimidation. It's like, well, you got to do this or else, or else, or else. So wait a minute. It's like if somebody came up to me and said, well, do you believe in like particle physics or the quantum theory or something like that? I'd be like, well, geez, I think I need to know a little bit. I can't make a decision. I don't
Right.
know anything. I really need to understand this. Can you sit down and spend the next 6 weeks telling me in detail all about this? And maybe I'll have enough information to make a decision. Then you have this huge, apparently eternal decision to make, and somebody's going to tell you you've got to make an immediate decision about it when you don't know anything and there's not much evidence to go on. It's preposterous. So to me, like the whole idea of the questioning thing is absolutely essential to critical thinking. Like anybody that is afraid of being questioned,
I
run
don't
from
even know
them.
what that is. So it's quantum mechanics.
Yeah, even that I can't
I don't even know what that
give
is.
anything on that. But yeah, the idea is like trying to be pressed for decisions on something where you don't know, or people repel a question. Like if something can't stand up to questioning, tear it to pieces, rip it down, question it to death. Because if it can't withstand a few questions, then it's probably not valid. Most people that will not allow you, that will threaten you if you ask questions, run from them. They're liars. They're false. They're
That's
not,
what,
you know.
it's funny. One of the quotes, like in the beginning of the Leah Remini, the Scientology and the Aftermath, that thing, I'm trying to remember the exact quote, but she said something like, if Scientology is so great, why can't it stand up to some questioning?
Exactly.
Why can't it stand up to some scrutiny? Like, why can't you tell us how, why it's so great and make, help us make a decision whether it's so great, because they're hiding a lot of stuff, So, I'm going to put this up. I have a thought about this. OBG Foster. Proselytizing is for the proselytizer, not the person they preach to. It cements the cognitive dissonance. Yeah, it does. And also what thing I was thinking is, you get like, okay, say you're in an MLM, or say you're like a salesperson, you're expected to produce, right? When you're in any religion, usually anything that's that wants to make recruits or converts, or proselytes, then you're under this pressure. So you feel like you're blessed, or you're favored, or whatever, by God, or whatever organization or anything. If you're oh, that makes you pressured. Like with the Jehovah's Witnesses, they knock on your door, because if they don't, they might not make it to the new kingdom. They believe in heaven, but only for 144,000 people.
Which they had to up the number several times because.
Well, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody knows this, is that I think they had to change it, because the 144,000 are the ones that are going to be judging the other millions or billions of people. So I think that the 144,000 are going to sort of go to a heaven, but then the new earth, the new kingdom, is going to be everybody else that makes it through the Armageddon, after all the bodies are cleared out and everybody's, dead, except for only Jehovah's Witnesses. So yeah, can you imagine the earth like that? Kind of gross, kind of horrible. But the fear tactics and all that keep you in check and keep you under control. And just this, even, you can think of it in everyday situations, dealing with doubt. Sometimes the consideration is, this person's going to be really pissed if I do this, if I make this decision, but this is what my heart is telling me. So it's so hard sometimes, because you don't want to lose friends. You don't want to lose relationships. It's hurtful. It sucks. But sometimes, you have to be true to yourself and make a decision. And then you might not be popular. And that just, it's very, very sad, but like, don't feel driven, like anything that makes you feel threatened, like Jehovah's Witnesses thing with the knocking on the door. If I don't do this, I'm not going to heaven. Like, I always felt like I was probably going to miss the rapture, because I wasn't a good enough person. So I would end up, going through the tribulation, maybe, getting my, if I didn't take the mark of the beast, I was going to get decapitated, according to these movies I watched. And then, like Roberta Blevins told me, she's like, oh, you mean you're going to end up in headless heaven in the slums, and everybody else is going to have mansions? I'm like, yeah.
That sucks, doesn't it?
Yep. Yeah. That's pretty much, I think, what was going through my mind, is that I'm going to be bummed.
Yeah, well, plus to take off on that just for a second is the idea, like, because I saw this happen too, is in most churches, there'd be this, not all of them, but I mean, a lot of them become this meritocracy where, how many souls have you saved this week? Can you, check off a few boxes of people you witnessed to, and they said yes, or did this or did that. It's like, well, then this, and people buy into the idea. It does, and that comment about reducing the cognitive dissonance makes sense in the way that, well, you're a sinner deep down. And I always fought with this, is like knowing that I'm not worthy of this, that, or the other, and I'm not doing that great a job. But if I sign a few other people on, I get credit for that. Maybe I'll get credit for time served, and that'll offset my failures and, backsliding and sins and all the rest of it. So there's that pressure, to achieve and accomplish. And it kind of reminds me of like the Chase Bank scandal where they were pressured to sign all these new accounts. So they were making stuff up and sending people credit cards they didn't ask for and just creating false accounts. And there was a motive to start doing deceptive things that weren't right. And it's like, yeah, in the church, if there's pressure, I don't see Jesus trying to make it an MLM to, just pressure people to make points when he asked them to do more humble stuff, like feed people and give them a cloak if you've got two and they don't have one.
Right. Yeah.
So, that's pretty humbling. If you go and help the homeless or something like that, you're probably not going to get, huge points in the doing of the thing, but that's the kind of thing that's actually better. That counts. You're not just trying to make points so you look good. So.
Okay. All right. I'm going to put up a couple of things. I guess some stuff I wanted you to read, honey, but I'm going to put up
sure.
Steve-O's thing first. Join me tonight for the first in a new series of interviews exploring the early years of our ex-Scientologist friends. They're not our ex-friends, they're our friends, with Origin Stories, Mitch Brisker. All right. I got to see your new thumbnail.
I'm just going to check on the dogs really quick.
Okay. You look out the window? Okay. Oh, we see your butt, honey.
Oh, terrible. No, they're just barking. Sorry. I forgot it wasn't going off camera.
No, I mean, you're going to give me a warning before you mooned me here. Jeez.
Needed a little levity in the moment.
Oh, Lord. Tampa Bay man. Feelings aren't right or wrong. They change. It's a human response, right? Yeah. They are what they are, right?
I might have to excuse myself soon to take care of them. They've been out there a while. I'll give you a break from my antics.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thanks for the super chat, Barb. Marilyn, I don't truly know your religion. I love you, whatever religion you choose. Thank you. I don't have a religion right now. I don't plan to, but I don't plan not to.
Well, here's a strange thought. Maybe your religion is what you actually believe and what you find to be true. And it's okay if it's different in a sense of it's what you actually believe. That's the only religion that really is true or means anything. So what you personally actually believe, that's your religion. Everything else isn't. So
yeah, I guess I believe in love. It's okay. And yeah. I'm looking for some hot stuff, baby, this evening. Oh, no. I need some hot stuff, baby, tonight. Gotta have some loving. I know. I've already been torturing him with disco because, now I'm trying to move. I'm sweating with Steve-O.
Hey, whatever works, man.
We're trying to get healthy. So, and the dogs sit there. I've got this, what is it called? Like, oh man, like old school club classics or something.
Oh yeah, it's like
she's a brick house.
Yeah, the whole 80s disco lineup.
Hey, you were getting into the hustle.
Yeah, that's what do they call that? Like an embarrassing confession of some sort. Like I lived that whole era, so but some of those songs were pretty cool. And I had a 1978 KTEL record, an album. I remember it had things like The Hustle and some stuff on there. Casey and the Sunshine Bin, and like this actually that's pretty cool stuff. There was some music in there that had a cool beat, and it wasn't all bad. I like it a lot better than I liked rap when it came out, to be perfectly honest. People beat down disco, but I'm like, yeah, I'm old school. I like old time rock and roll. So the rap hip hop thing was way, beyond me. So I'm like, okay, young people are into that, but that was never my bag. I hated it. Some of it isn't bad now, I look back, but anyway, enough about that.
I didn't know this was that kind of channel.
Oh boy.
Just squeeze the cans. Thursday.
Uh-oh. That's right.
Floating needle Thursday. I was like, is he? Oh, he did. Oh my God. And he bent over it too.
Oh no.
Stephen was in the middle of saying something really serious. I'm speaking as a Christian here. I didn't become a Christian overnight. It was an evolution. Oh, nice. Yes, Duncan. Gradually worked through the belief system transition from the atheism.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
You know, again,
It's a
this
journey
is
for
freedom.
everyone.
Everybody has,
Yeah.
and I think it's part of our journey is
Yeah.
developing your own philosophy. I mean, there's somebody, and I don't know who I'm quoting, but said your basic number one job in this life is to develop a philosophy. Well, I would sort of almost say that's interchangeable to religion in the sense of it's your beliefs, it's what you believe. And if we're all in process, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a
Oh,
little
that's a
kid
good
has no
point.
idea what they
Religion
believe,
is
and
the
over
practice, the
time,
ritual. Beliefs is what you believe to be true.
that makes
Right?
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what do you do? Your true religion is what you
Mhm.
actually do.
Yeah, actions, right?
And what you believe, yeah, is your
And
philosophy. So I'll buy it.
rituals, yeah, I guess you can develop your own. I mean, I don't like to be, that's why I'm pretty sure even if I convert to something or decide I believe in something, probably not going to join a club about it. I'm probably not gonna. I just don't have any problem with churches or people who go to church, but I sat my butt in a pew. It's just effing boring for me, honestly. It's just I don't want to sit there being talked at. You know, I'd rather
Yeah, well,
talk at
we've
you
been
guys.
through many years. Well, you know what?
I did my time. I did
So
my
in a
time.
sense, you know, I feel like if I can use the word kind of loosely, I feel like we're almost like a church in a sense. We're a group of people that are united to try to help other people, help each other, help other people become free and recover from cult experiences. To me, that's as close to being a church as I can think of. And sitting under the preaching of one person standing at a pulpit for an hour doesn't necessarily constitute any more of a church than getting together on YouTube and talking about what we believe. To me, this is growth, it's development, it's thinking.
Yeah.
So
It's a community. It's a community.
yeah, I think it's good. With that, I think because the dogs are barking
Are
consistently,
you
and I
channeling
haven't.
Reese?
Oh, who knows? Maybe.
Okay, you can let the
But
dogs in.
anyway, I'm
Okay,
going to sneak
I'll
out.
wrap up.
But I won't turn around. I'll slip out the door behind Marilyn
Oh
without
no, they want to
exposing
see
any other
it.
body
They want to
parts.
see it. I'll try not to goose you.
Good talking to y'all. And, if I get a chance to duck back in before.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I actually have a meeting at 1:00, so
great
I'm gonna wrap up.
And, to be continued.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not shutting you down.
No, it's like put a 1 in the chat if you want to see Duncan again. Not his butt, but Osa smells like pew. Yes. Yes, Osa smells like pew. Yeah, poo and pew. We don't like those words. I don't like the word pew because, yeah. Hi, Lady BB. Hello. Here I am just looking. I like cans. All right. What cans you talking about? Yeah, that's true. That's a good question. Depends. Depends on the mood and the equipment, right? Tampa Bay. I'm always channeling Reese. Yeah. That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. Ooh la la, this station is going in a different direction. Yeah, you gotta have, I don't know. It's like we get really heavy, we get really deep, but sometimes I like to break the like Poe and Clearwater Chad, like Poe will get really serious and then Chad will just like pop up a Jay Leno Smurf, It's like I don't have any Jay Leno Smurfs here, so it is good to break up. Yeah, sorry guys. Like I'm not big into talking about, definitely not politics and not even really about like mainstream religions, but it was just something that I was just saying, like as far as my cult experience, that I have gotten triggered in the past, and I'm not really you know uh wanting to get heavily into like the religion, the Christian talk or religion talk or anything. But I think that the point is just like, if you believe whatever you believe, if you live it and you emulate it, then that's that's great, because that means that you actually believe in something. So I was just saying, I don't really have a belief. I believe in like what Barb says, is do unto others, and that happens to be quoted in the Bible. So yeah, I believe in that part, but you don't have to believe anything you don't want to believe, and that's the beauty of having freedom. So I'm just gonna look at the starred things I had. Guys. I don't know what's happening here. Super squeezable. I'm afraid to ask. Totally afraid to ask. Uh, Beck, I don't even know what I believe because I'm not there yet. Yeah, and that's totally okay. You can't pretend to believe so. Well, you can, but I'm not into that. I'm just I guess I just always say I all I know right now is that I don't know. And I don't all I know is I don't know, and maybe that what does that make? People like to label like why do we have to label everything? Like I guess that makes me an agnostic. I don't know, but I don't, I'm Marilyn and that's it. You know, I'm just me. And yeah, I'm just me. All right, I'm just gonna go through the start, and then I gotta wrap up soon because I've got a online meeting, and we'll do some show notes. Steve-O, talk about some stuff. Oh, Duncan left. Oh, Tampa Bay man. Darn it. I wanted him to read this because I have no idea. Quantum mechanics is to me the energy particles can decide to be anywhere in the universe. Like my love for my family and pets, I can be with them forever in a flash. Oh, I like that. Quantum mechanics particles really do that. Oh, I gotta look that up. Quantum mechanics. My love for my family and my pets. Ah. Yeah, like a certain amount of energy. Um, quantum mechanics is to me means if you look at something deeply small enough, it doesn't make any sense anymore. Everything is chaos in the end. Huh. Um, oh, jeez. We're talking about the mansions in heaven. And then how I was taught that, like, I pretty much my adopted mom always said that if I made it to heaven, I was going to make it by the skin of my teeth. And we watched all these things about the rapture. I said, okay, I know I'm not good enough to make the rapture. So what? Then what? So then, if you don't take the mark of the beast, you're probably going to get martyred like that. Um, and you'll be carrying your head under your arm in heaven to the pearly gates. And yeah, I was talking to Roberta Blevins, and she's like, "Wait a minute. So what happens when you get to heaven?" Then I'm like, "Well, you don't get a mansion because you didn't make the rapture. So you probably get a shack, but at least you made it to heaven. You're not going to burn forever and ever." Which I was always afraid of because of fire. But yeah, so those are the ones that kept their heads, that get the mansions. Yes. Yeah, and granted, this isn't mainstream Christianity. This isn't any regular. I'm not picking on any religion. I'm picking on cults. That's a cult. It was a cult that I was in. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I am skipping over some. I'm just saying. I'm skipping over some religion stuff. I don't want to get into prayer and all that. I guess I brought it up. I'm sorry. I was just saying, as from far as my own experience of being triggered by some language, but yeah, everyone can believe what they want. I'm so glad we have a diverse group of people that believe in all different ways. And yeah, I am happy that I don't have to pretend to believe in anything anymore. I love it. Oh, back super sticker. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Appreciate that. I really, really do. So sweet. All right, everybody. So Denver Stevo is going to be on with Mitch Brisker tonight. I can't remember what time, but we're all in different time zones anyway. So look that up. I don't know if I have any mods. It's so funny. Sometimes I have 5 mods and sometimes I have none. It just kind of works out. I don't like to pressure anybody because I'm usually on so early. So I'm definitely gonna keep you guys posted about when I do the live stream with Lindsay Williams from the Shiny Happy People documentary. We're we're going to be on my channel live next Friday, which is the 20th, and 1 o'clock my time. So 1 o'clock Eastern. So wherever you are, hopefully you can tune in, and that'll be awesome. I talked to her yesterday. She's amazing. And my friend Peggy, probably most of you have seen her if you've watched my channel. She and I are going to be chatting with her and talking about fear mongering and control of children in cults. So, and we have so much in common. We were like speaking the same language. It was almost like two Scientologists get together. That's kind of how it was yesterday. We were just comparing notes. It was wild. So, and she's so much fun. We were just laughing the whole time. We went probably double the time that we had planned for the initial video chat. So yeah, we'll be in touch. I had some things I might want to chat about tomorrow. If not, then I've got some other things in the works. So we'll definitely keep everybody posted. So Selma, love you. Love you too. I love you guys. I love hanging out with you in the morning. It's so much fun. And I love reading. Cats are aliens. Cats are aliens. Yeah, this is great. Okay, guys, have a great day. I'm sure I'll see you on the streams. And love you guys. Take care. Bye.